Today I'm starting a road trip. I'm up in Vermont. Just crossed over the border. I'm at the Welcome Center and I'm going to be heading up north, almost up to Canada. And I'm looking forward to seeing the sights of rural Vermont and meeting the local people and seeing the local crops and barns and whatever there is to see in Vermont. It's the 4th of July weekend. I have time on my hands and I'm looking forward to a road trip to Vermont. I visited Irisburg, Vermont, just a little town, about 1,000 people there, located around 25 miles south of the Canadian border. But I like the town. Look at all the wide open spaces you have here. And you know, some people come to visit America from another country. They fly into New York, they look at New York City, they go visit Niagara Falls, they visit the Grand Canyon, they go to LA and they go home and say, well, I've seen America. But I think it's very important to visit little towns like this also when you visit America. On the outside of town, there's a little covered bridge made in 1881, no longer open for traffic. A neat little market there, very home style, local soap and local maple syrup. Wow, gravel roads. I haven't driven on gravel roads for many years, but we were following the directions and we got off the highway and we've got on another road and then we were driving down this little road and all of a sudden the pavement ended and we were on gravel and I was like, wow. But here I am. Look how quiet it is. So it's something uniquely Vermont, gravel roads. Another thing you're going to see a lot of in rural Vermont is stacks of firewood. It gets awful cold in the winter and you got to heat your house. People in the city might be using gas lines or propane tanks, or they might be using heating oil. But here in Vermont, a lot of people heat with wood. There's lots of trees here, and wood heats you twice. It heats you the first time when you're out there with your axe cutting it, and it heats you the second time when you're burning it in your wood stove. Another thing I like about rural Vermont is finding old barns with old trucks and tractors in them. So this barn's got both. We got a tractor and a truck. Rural Vermont, there's a high possibility that you're going to see some snowmobiles parked out in the field. My visit to Vermont coincided with the 4th of July, and I was fortunate enough to attend a small town 4th of July parade. This was a very informal parade, just local people getting out to have a little fun. And it wasn't sponsored by the mayor or the town council or the Lions Club. It was only the second annual. Everybody had a good time. It was called the East, or not the East, but the South Albany Extravaganza. These kids just learned how to walk on stilts a few weeks before and they were having a good time. And this one is a giant burdock plant. Amazing plant. He's proud of it. And here's a cheese maker. There's a lot of tractors in this parade. It had a rural kind of flavor to it. And the kids on this float were not throwing candy. They had squirt guns and they were spraying some of the bystanders and enjoying that. My favorite float was this one right here with Vladimir Putin in a destroyed Russian tank. And these kids didn't need to have any water to have fun. They were just having a good old time in their canoe. So I've been to a lot of parades. I've been to parades in the New York City and big towns and little towns. And for some reason, I enjoy the small town parades. And they sure did have beautiful weather for this. Look at that big white puffy clouds in the sky. I just enjoyed it. When it was over, they turned around and went back again because it was just a little parade. And then they turned around and went back again. So that's what it's all about, having fun in the small town. You don't need a big marching band, and you don't need to get all kinds of fancy stuff. Just go out and have fun with your neighbors and celebrate the independence of America. Look at them kids, just having a good time. It's a hayride. Now the parade's over. Old barns are part of the charming scenery of rural Vermont. I found this old barn on a gravel road, and I was amazed by the texture and the faded red color of the barn. And I know that a lot of work was done in this barn. A lot of food was prepared, a lot of animals were tended, a lot of shelter was given during storms of winter and summer. And this old barn is standing here silently on a quiet road in rural Vermont. Many years ago, when this was a working farm, the dairy cattle would come in here to be milked. This is the stanchion. So when the cow would come in, it would stick its head through here and get some food, and it would stay put because this locks. If you push this over, it's locked. Now the cow is in, can't remove its head, and to release it, there's a very simple mechanism. We're just going to push down right there, and it opens up again. On old farms, you're going to find retired farm equipment. And up in this barn, I'm seeing over here, retired sickle mower. So this would be horse-drawn. There's a seat on there for the operator. They're going to drop that blade down, and it's like pairs of scissors going back and forth. Chop, chop, chop. So way up overhead, I saw a big old claw. That was for the hay. They would clamp onto the hay and use a rope and pulley it into the barn. This old barn's kind of interesting. I see this weathered old door here, and I'm kind of wondering what's behind that door. So let's go check it out. Let's see what's behind that door. All right, I opened the door and looked in, and I said, oh, I know what that was. It was a chicken coop. So here's some clues. This is for roosting. Chickens could hang around up in there. This piece of equipment is another clue. It's a waterer. So you fill this up with water, and they're going to drink their water from down in there. So this is an old chicken coop. Maple syrup is a very important part of life in Vermont. Behind me is a little building where they boil down the maple sap to make maple syrup. It's a sugar shack. This is the maple syrup operation. In the winter, when the days start getting longer, the temperatures go up a little bit and the sap starts flowing, and the rural people are going to tap the sap, collect it in a bucket, and bring it over here, pour it in a vat, and boil it down, until finally they get maple syrup, a very important part of the economy in the state of Vermont. It's summer now, so there's nothing much going on inside here, but this is where they'd be very busy at the end of the winter, bringing in the sap, boiling and boiling and boiling. Got to keep the fires burning 24 hours a day, and it's a busy time, and a lot of people working, but they enjoy it, and it's part of life here in Vermont. This is an example of the kind of bucket that would be hung on a tree to collect the sap, and then it would come in here to the vat. The sap is boiled down to make high-quality maple syrup from Vermont. While up in Vermont, I heard some conversations that you don't hear in other places. Here's a few examples. Well, this is my mom's tractor, and we keep the radio on in the garage to keep the raccoons away. And when they got divorced, the judge gave them each half of the flock of sheep. Right now I'm in Corinth, Vermont. My great-great-grandfather, Charles Chase Wasson, was born here December 14th, 1834. But as a young man, he moved to Wisconsin. And in 1861, he married Rachel McDonough, and they raised a family there. Over here, there's some more Wasson graves, and these were my ancestors. And some of these people relocated to Black River Falls, Wisconsin. They were farmers there, and they were farmers when they arrived. And that's the story of my family. All right, thanks a lot for watching my video. Tune in the future. I got more videos coming. I got a lot of interesting things to talk about. Maybe that it would.